Good morning. I'm Brooke Bell. I'm a project manager with Anadarko from our Denver office, and I'm going to talk about Greater Natural Buttes Field. When I was pulling together information for this presentation, I was thinking back over the last 4 years and all that's been accomplished in the field. And I started making some phone calls to people, collecting some data. And the reason I talk about the last 4 years is that's when I was introduced to the community of Vernal. It's when the BLM kicked off the Greater Natural Buttes EIS. And in 2007, Anadarko had just started drilling our first directional well pad. And we had drilled 16 wells off of a dual pad that was on the bluffs overlooking the White River. And when our drillers finished with that pad, they said that the logistics were a nightmare and that it wasn't cost effective. And if you look now, 4 years later, almost everything we do is off directional pads. So in that 4 years, we've made some major strides, and a lot of the companies have. Anadarko, and when you look at the people in the field, on any given day in the Greater Natural Buttes, you can find 1,700 people working the project. Amazing employment. The other thing, in the last 4 years, Anadarko has paid over $600 million in taxes and royalties associated with that field. And we've invested over $2 billion in capital. So with that, a lot's been accomplished in 4 years, and that's primarily the focus of my talk. Before I head out on this discussion, I do have to remind everybody that I'll have some forward-looking statements in the presentation. And so our attorneys require that I include this cautionary statement with regard to this presentation, and that things can change, and so can our predictions. Who is Anadarko? We're a global corporation. I know a lot of you are familiar with your friends and family that work in the area, but we are among the world's largest independent oil and gas companies in the world. We produce in Algeria, off China, off the coast of China, deepwater Gulf of Mexico, in Brazil, Africa, and our Rocky Mountain operations include properties in Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming. The Greater Natural Buttes Field is located approximately 40 miles south of Vernal at the confluence of the White and the Green River. We have net acreage of 160,000 acres, and we have over 1,800 wells in the field. And in the last 5 years, we've drilled almost 1,100, or a little over 1,100 wells. Our current production is over 500 million cubic feet of gas a day, phenomenal rate. And we're poised for additional growth. We're forecasting at the peak of production that will be close to 1 billion cubic feet of gas a day. We are the largest field in Utah, both cumulative production and current rate. We have cummed over 2.5 TCF. That's equivalent to almost 400 million barrels of oil. In 2010 alone, our taxes and royalties that we paid were for $135 million. In the background here of the slide, you will see our Chapito gas processing plant. We have some new construction going on out there, where we've kicked off the construction of our third train in June 2011, and the capital expenditures associated with that project alone is $110 million. And it's targeted to be completed in August of 2012. The project that is near and dear to my heart is the Greater Natural Buttes EIS. This is an existing field where first production was in 1957. We have over 1,800 wells in the field, and with the EIS, we will be able to develop another 3,700 wells over the next 10 years. The project has potential to generate 2,900 jobs and generate almost $5 billion of additional royalties and taxes. We've made a lot of commitments on the project with regard to the environment, and these include low emission drill rigs. We currently have a liquid natural gas fired drill rig in the basin that we brought in August that we're testing to look at how we can improve the emissions off of the drill rigs. So we're excited about that project, and hopefully we'll have more to tell you about that in the future. We've committed to controlling our emission sources, both our new and existing sources, and have been doing so for some time. With regard to surface disturbance, we're committed to directional drilling off of our existing well pads. We are really breathing new life into an old field. We also have wildlife issues out in the field. We have sage grouse. It's a struggling population in the south of the field. It's less than 100 birds, but we've been working with the Utah State University to map the habitat down there, understand the population, and agree to commit to staying away from the leks and work further to understand what's going on with that population. In addition, we are recycling almost 90% of our completion fluids, so we're reducing our need for fresh water in the basin. And also, with regard to the White River that runs through the area, we're committed to staying a half mile away from the river's viewshed. This slide, and I keep looking back because I'm so used to being in the office in presentations and looking back, and this is new to see it right in front of me. So on this slide, what I love about this is a cartoon drawing of what directional well bores look underground coming off a single well pad. And what I liken this to is a potato chip, a bowl of potato chips. The Wasatch and the Mesa Verde Formation are lenticular units. It's like having this bowl of potato chips and you're dropping straws, and you might intersect some of those potato chips when you drop the straw in the bowl, but you won't intersect all that you need to produce the reserves out there, so you have to have multiple straws in the ground to intersect all those chips. And what this map shows is a section that we planned out. It shows the pink are the pads, and then you see these green bottom hole locations, and when you can see the number of wells we're trying to bring off of one pad. And what's interesting, under these pink pads are all these existing pads that we're utilizing the existing infrastructure out there in the field, the roads, the right-of-ways. We're not bringing our pipelines across country. And again, we're trying to use the existing infrastructure wherever possible, again, to minimize our surface footprint. Another effort I'd like to highlight is Anadarko's completion transport system. This is the ACT system. If you imagine, and you have a picture here that shows an example of a very crowded location when we're completing a well, if you imagine that we have over 100 tanks on these locations for a frac job, and we have over 400 truckloads of water going out to fill those tanks, and then once we're done, we have to have 400 truckloads take the water away, recycle it, and use it again for another well. It's a logistics nightmare, creates a lot of emissions, a lot of dust, and a safety issue. And so what we've done is we've created a system, and it's the ACT system, where we can temporarily stage water on existing locations, filter it and clean it, and then transport it to the next location for completion through a series of pipelines. And these pipelines are on the surface, they're temporary lines, and they're just irrigation lines. Anadarko didn't bring my glasses, but in 2009, we saved over 1.6 million barrels of fresh water by recycling. It was a 70% reduction in our freshwater use for completions. And then we also had an 82% reduction in our emissions associated with truck traffic, and a huge benefit in reducing the dust in the field. Because of this project, Anadarko was a recipient of IOGC's 2010 Chairman's Stewardship Award. So what's the future in Greater Natural Buttes? We expect the EIS by the end of the year or shortly thereafter. That's very exciting. With that EIS, the BLM and the tribe will be poised to increase the number of permits that they deliver. In 2010, we were doing about 220 wells a year. In 2013, we hope to be at 400 plus wells a year. We're currently operating, last year we were operating 5 rigs in the field, and this year we're at 8 rigs in the field. And our employment, just in the last year, you've seen our employment, full-time employees working for Anadarko go from 180 to 200 employees in 1 year, but our contractor number has skyrocketed. It's gone from 600 to over 1,500 contractors in the field in 1 year. I'm going to just jump through this. These are a number of awards that we've received for our efforts in the field, and then also we're contributing to the community as well. So in summary, we are committed to operating in a safe and environmentally friendly manner. Natural gas, no matter whether you're Anadarko or another company, does create high-paying long-term jobs, and it does provide increased revenues to the state, Ute tribe, and the local communities. I want to leave with a quote from Ken Salazar, Secretary Salazar, that he made this summer at a press conference with regard to the Greater Natural Buttes project. He said, "This project has the potential to create hundreds of jobs for Utah, infuse millions of dollars into the local communities, and help power our economy with natural gas as part of the nation's comprehensive energy profile." We couldn't agree more, and I know this is true for all the companies that are sitting in the audience. And I'd like to thank the county commissioners, the BLM, the Ute tribe, the BIA, all the people in the local community that have supported us and supported getting that EIS accomplished. Thank you.